Good morning. Welcome to the live streaming worship service of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. I'm Bonnie McFarland, a member of the worship committee, and I will be one of your worship associates today. You will also hear the voices of Grace Preuss and Adam Wedeking. We invite you to worship with us with an open mind and an open heart. As we enter into sacred time, created by our presence and shared intent, I invite you to get comfortable. Turn down your phones or other distracting devices. Make a conscious decision to set aside for this 1 hour self-protective walls we all keep around our hearts and our thoughts. Let us remember and explore together what has drawn us to this faith, or learn what this faith is about, and relax. Let the stresses of the outside world slip away as together we focus on this time together. And together we breathe. Although we are now a community connected largely by electronic means, one day we will be together again. Yet even now, we are those seekers with the yearnings to learn, to understand, to make the world a better place, and with the same desire for fellowship. And so we are here seeking that living interconnected web of which we are a part. Let go of the anxiety, the fears, the expectations of your own or others' making, and join us in this hour of beloved community. And so together we breathe. Our opening hymn this morning is "I Know This Rose Will Open." So please rise in spirit and join us. And because we are Zooming this, nobody will know if you sing off key.
I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
For our call to worship, I invite you to read with me the mission statement of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Riverside. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Joan DeArtemis has previously been a frequent guest speaker here at UUCR, but Joan currently lives in Massachusetts, where she is a candidate for UU ministry and an intern at UU Wellesley Hills. Fortunately, through the magic of 21st century technology, she's here with us again today. Joan holds a bachelor's in religion and society from Syracuse University, a Master of Divinity from Claremont School of Theology, and she completed 4 units of pastoral clinical education at the Yuma Regional Medical Center in Arizona. When not practicing her craft of ministry, Joan spends time with Kathy, her spouse and partner of 27 years, and Finley, their new adorable cardigan Welsh Corgi's puppy. Joan, Kathy, and Finley live in Worcester, Massachusetts, the city that was the birthplace of both the birth control pill and the smiley face. About her sermon, Joan said, "The insurrection of January 6th revealed hidden weaknesses in our federal presidential constitutional republic. How can we address these weaknesses? There is a whole new world being created right before our eyes. The seed has been planted and it is just starting to grow. How can we nurture it along? The thing that is vital to understand is this: any success story brings with it its commitments. Are we ready to commit to bringing and caring for this new world until it grows big and strong?"
Good morning. There are a few announcements we would like to share. During the service, we will mention several website and email addresses and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all this information, and it is available on our website. However, for those needing the information by auditory means, they will be announced verbally during the service. Chat time provides an opportunity to spend an hour talking among ourselves, usually beginning with the service, then wandering on to other topics. It's held on Zoom at 11:30. But to participate, you need a separate Zoom link. So please go to our website at uuchurchofriverside.org for the Zoom chat time link. The Church Board of Trustees meets on the fourth Sunday of every month at 1 p.m. That's today. The meetings are now held via Zoom. Members and friends are welcome. The Zoom link can be found on the 1-minute guide to UU Church of Riverside that is sent out weekly, or by contacting the president of the board, Lee Greer. His email address is president@uuchurchofriverside.org.
There's a couple social justice committee announcements. Again, we'll be meeting on February 7th because we meet on the first and the third Sunday of the month, so that'll be in 2 Sundays. We are also still working the campaign to keep families housed. Some things are changing in this campaign, and so it's really important that you look at the webpage right now. Go to uuchurchofriverside.org, click Justice, and click the Social and Environmental Justice menu, and then look under Take Action. The governor is very likely to introduce a bill that looks like that will possibly merge parts of AB 15 and AB 16, but it might not be real long-term, a real long-term solution. It might simply just be, taking care of past rent and not have anything set aside or set up to cover, future rent. So we want to email the governor and tweet at the governor today before he releases this to demand that there's real, even if this is just a short-term solution now, that we get back to the table and work on real solutions that are going to last. So if you go on the webpage under Take Action, there's a link there. It makes it really easy for you to email the governor, tweet at the governor, or call the president pro tem of the Senate and demand that whatever comes up is real solutions, long-term solutions that'll keep people housed during the pandemic and after the pandemic. Also, we've got a meeting with our state senator coming soon. So watch your email. I'm going to reach out to folks who might want to join that meeting to talk about this. Also, on the Social Justice Committee webpage, there is a link to sign a petition demanding that the governor take some action for single-payer health care in California. You can click on the link on the church, again, on our Social Justice webpage. You'll see down the bottom that we are a co-sponsor. Our Social Justice Committee is a co-sponsor of that petition. And we're encouraging as many people as possible to sign that petition. So that is it for social justice. I'll turn it back over to Grace.
In Riverside County and all of Southern California region, the ICU availability continues to be at 0.0%. At this time, Riverside County reports an average of 148.4 new cases per 100,000 per day, up from 127.5 as reported last Sunday. Riverside County moved into phase 1B, which includes providing vaccines for those aged 65 and older, along with specified others. Public health vaccination clinics have been set up, however. The demand is far greater than supply, so keep watching for available appointments. For the most current and reliable information, go to the website for your county public health department or the state of California. You can also find information and links on our church website. The monthly UUCR newsletter comes out the first of every month by mail and per request by postal mail. If you have something you would like covered or that you want to write, let Dinah know at ramblinrose22@yahoo.com or call or text her at 909-645-2885. If you haven't received the newsletter and would like to be added to our mailing list, please contact Dinah or the church office. Joys and concerns. On the first Sunday of each month, we share with you the joys and concerns that we have received throughout the month. When we're all in the sanctuary, it's easy for people to be reminded by something someone else shared, like a concern for their cousin's welfare, or the state of the world, or the joy they felt a few days earlier when they got good news, or felt more optimistic about the future. But when we ask you to send these thoughts to Dinah so we can share them with everyone later by Zoom, I understand how it gets forgotten. But consider this. How do you feel when you hear about another member who has fallen ill, or that someone shares your feelings about the state of things? Isn't that what helps us remember that we are a community, even while at a distance? Your joys and concerns are important to all of us. The next sharing of joys and concerns will be on February 7th. Please email or text your joys and concerns as they occur to you throughout the month to our Caring Network Coordinator, Dinah Rowe. Her email is ramblinrose22@yahoo.com. Or you can call or text her at 909-645-2885. We have two lightings of sacred flames. The first is the occupied Indigenous Peoples Remembrance Candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. Let us acknowledge that we walk upon the traditional territories of the Maranga, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. In honor of the Maranga people, we, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equality, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to live out our dream of a world community of peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Joan DeArtemis will lead us in our chalice lighting.
We light this chalice today in honor of the Unitarian Universalist first principle to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We recognize that they are not just words to be spoken. Instead, they call us out of our comfort zone into an ever-deepening commitment. A commitment we make to the rights of all of whose inherent worth and dignity are denied, diminished, or destroyed by systems of oppression. And they call us into the practice of looking into our own hearts with courage and honesty.
Our next hymn is Spirit of Life. Please rise in spirit and join us.
And now Dinah Rowe, our church treasurer, will speak with us about sharing our treasure.
Good morning. This portion of our service is how we fund all that we do to care for our congregation and our beloved historic church, and to ensure that when we're able to come to safely reopen again, we will be here to welcome you all back. A reminder that even though the church is not allowed to reopen at this time, the church expenses continue. Just a few of the expenses which are ongoing are the utilities, insurance, the security company. Our administrator, Robert, pays the bills and answers inquiries to the church, plus other administrative duties which come up on a daily basis. You can mail your pledge and donations to the church office, and again, please, no cash. Our church office address is shown here and will be available again later in this program. Stater Brothers and script cards also earn our church a percentage from purchases of those cards. Please contact me or the church office to purchase Stater Brothers cards. You may also request the Stater cards be sent to you by mail. For those of you who have purchased Amazon gift cards, another way to help is when making purchases through Amazon, go to smile.amazon.com. Be sure to have the smile and choose Universalist Unitarian Church as your charity. We receive 0.5% of your qualifying purchases, and by using an Amazon script card, we receive a percentage from both. Just a reminder, we do have gift cards available in the office. There's Ace Cards, Amazon, Best Buy, and Lowe's. These won't have to be ordered. Robert has them in the office now. Please donate by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. Our next hymn is From You I Receive. Please rise again in spirit and join us. We will sing this through 3 times.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
At this point, I will turn the service over to our speaker, Joan DeArtemis. Following the service, she has agreed to stay with us for a short period of question and discussion. Joan?
Spirit of life, spirit of love, spirit of generosity. As we draw near to that quiet, essential side of ourself, may we open enough to consider the sacred choices we make each minute, each hour, each day that add up to a lifetime. And forgive ourselves for any past thoughts and actions. Here is a place to begin again with love. As we are forgiven, let us open our hearts to forgive others, to pray for them well-being and joy, that they be lifted from worry and burden into peace and abundance. May we all be blessed with riches of the Spirit and moment upon moment of peace and serenity. Namaste, shalom, amen, and blessed be. Now let us pause to share a moment of silence. Can you believe it? It has been just 4 days since the inauguration of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Did you watch it? I did. Did you cry through it? Yeah, so did I. Did you feel an enormous sense of relief once it was all over? Oh, so much relief. Did you sleep better that night than you had in over 4 years? I know I did. And the next morning, for the first time in over 4 years, I did not immediately check the news on my phone upon rising to catch up on the latest presidential antics and shenanigans. Yes, I just used the words presidential antics and shenanigans in the same sentence. May I never have to use them together again. One good thing that has come out of the last 4 years, culminating in intensity over the last few weeks, is that this experience has brought into brilliant sunlight our country's and culture's most poisonous vulnerabilities. I mean, we all knew that the US has always had a problem around making statements, supporting peace and respecting national sovereignty, while at the same time carrying out, military actions like inciting civil wars in other countries, or wrongfully invading Iraq. We've also been criticized for supporting dictatorships with economic assistance and military hardware. But never have we seen a president openly court the approval of dictators such as the brutal Philippine leader Rodrigo Duterte, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Xi Jinping of China. And let's not even mention Kim Jong-un of South Korea. Now that is a scary guy. And all of this at the same time as seeming to go out of his way to alienate our allied countries of England, France, and Germany. Another vulnerability that has come to light is the difficulty that the American government seems to have in providing oversight with presidents. And we somehow always assume that if we elect a person to that office, he or she is going to be at least minimally competent. We have since learned that that is not necessarily the case. And now we're trying to figure out what to do about it. There is no minimum requirement for that office, except, according to Article 2 of the US Constitution, the president must be a natural-born citizen of the United States, be at least 35 years old, and have been a resident of the United States for the past 14 years. They don't have to pass a background check or a credit check or a psychological evaluation, all things that I have to do as a minister. All they must be able to do is convince enough people to support them to win a primary election and then a presidential election. Previous presidents have officially released both their income tax returns and their medical records. But as we've learned, even that is not set in stone. And since the Constitution requires no prior experience in diplomacy, government, or military service, it is possible to elect a president with little or no experience in any of these things. Not even a college degree, not even a high school diploma is required. And yet, even so, the office of the President of the United States is probably the most powerful position in the world. Therefore, it is small wonder it would be coveted by people who aspire towards tyranny and authoritarianism. Finally, perhaps our biggest, most self-destructive vulnerability is racism. It has been here since the colonial era and is deeply entrenched in our laws, practices, and attitudes. And actions which discriminate against various groups based upon their race or ethnicity are actually commonplace. And while most white Americans can take for granted that we possess lawful or officially recognized freedoms and civil rights, these same liberties and privileges are often denied to members of other races or minority groups. And this also extends to people of the LGBTQ community. Cis, heterosexual Americans of Western European descent, especially white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, have long enjoyed the benefits of a higher status in matters of education, immigration, voting rights, citizenship, land acquisition, bankruptcy, and the criminal justice system throughout American history. Now, while Y2K failed to manifest the feared end of the world scenario that many of us thought it would, it did, however, bring about a kind of a general, slow, long, steady collapse of the straight white patternistic system. And this became first most evident when the first Black president, Barack Obama, was elected in 2008. Now, when I think back to President Obama, I cannot help but think not only of what a wonderful president he was, but also what a wonderful man he continues to be. And yet to a large minority, but a large one, of Americans, he is thought of as the worst president in American history. And a vast quagmire of ever more incomprehensible conspiracy theories continue to be shared freely over the internet. Everything from a pervasive belief that he was secretly a Muslim and therefore a terrorist, to that he was secretly born in Kenya and therefore not one of us, or that he was secretly a radical leftist or a power-mad dictator or some kind of sham or weirdo or pervert. These stories are not the dysfunction that I'm talking about. These stories are the symptom of the dysfunction. The real dysfunction is this country's pathological resistance to change for the better. And it's nostalgia for a fantasy world set in the 50s that only exists for the supremacy of the white straight male. I am grateful for the Trump presidency because by going from no drama Obama to all chaos all the time Trump, we could really see the difference. And when one of the most incompetent, unbalanced, and possibly even criminal men to ever hold the office was able to win the Electoral College in 2016, not by the popular vote, but the Electoral College, over and above winning from an extremely capable, experienced, and well-educated woman who was also the victim of a similar quagmire of wild conspiracy theories. One can only wonder if the overarching reason was that a man, any man, so long as he is both straight and white, would be preferable to any woman. But in 2020, the American voters finally had enough, and former President Obama's vice president, Joe Biden, was elected to the presidency with Kamala Harris, not only a woman, but an African and Indian American woman, as his VP. Plus, Democrats now hold a majority in both the House and the Senate, which now look a lot more like the diverse and multicultural nation that we really are, rather than just a bunch of white guys. However, not everyone is happy about this, and some people are extremely unhappy. In fact, so unhappy that a group of insurrectionists tried to violently take over the nation's capital to stop the certification of the election. 5 people died. This fantasy world of a great America of white male supremacy, so near and dear to some members of our country's hearts, that they are willing to destroy our cherished democracy to prevent a legally elected candidate from taking office, and thus turn the previous president into an authoritative dictator. I am happy that the disease and dysfunction in our nation is finally set out for all of us and the world to see. Now the healing can begin. I woke up on January 21st with an odd thought, having watched the inauguration and celebration the day and night before, and in thinking about Biden and Harris and all the people that Biden is talking about naming to cabinet positions and all the people who won the House and Senate seats, it occurs to me that this happened because of an election, a free and fair election. This is what the majority of people in this country really want. And the weird thing is, I'm part of this majority. Now, it may seem obvious, but it wasn't to me. I mean, since the 1960s, I have considered myself counterculture, as in counter to the dominant culture. I was profoundly opposed to the Vietnam War, and I thought of myself as a kind of hippie musician, radical type. And then when I came out as a lesbian, I became actively involved in women's rights, LGBTQ rights, reproductive rights, civil rights for people of color were just the start. I wanted it all. But you know what? I never expected any of it. When I was 16, I nearly got kicked out of high school for organizing an anti-Vietnam War protest. I thought of myself as very anti-establishment. And then when I was working for a major multinational corporation, I was part of a group formed to challenge that corporation to become one of the first American corporations to include sexual orientation in its EEO statement. And I thought of myself as pushing the edge of the envelope of social change. And then I took to the streets to protest the release of Dan White, convicted murderer of Harvey Milk and Mayor Moscone. And I was met on Santa Monica Boulevard by riot police. And I thought of myself as radical queer. And now at last, now, I'm legally married to the woman I love. I can see people who look like me on TV and on commercials. And that's no small thing. It used to be that two members of the same sex that look like they might possibly be in a relationship or married was strictly forbidden. And not only that, but everyone can be seen now. People of all different races appear, sometimes interracial couples with mixed race kids and gay people with kids. It's amazing. Honestly, I think for the first time ever in my life, as I watched the inauguration, I felt profoundly proud to be an American. For the first time, I think, I started seeing that my lifetime of social justice activism is finally starting to come to fruition. For the first time, I did not feel like an outsider. For the first time, I really do feel like this is my country. This is kind of scary because now I feel like I need to be responsible for what I helped create. Finally, I can see that the new world that I very idealistically sought to establish over an entire lifetime has become visible, although it's still in the seedling stage. We're going to have to nurture it and care for it because this is still actually very new and therefore very vulnerable. I've been thinking about this a lot since the inauguration, and you know what it's like? It's like getting a new puppy. And I know that seems weird, but hear me out. You see, I recently got a new puppy. And I got a puppy that I've wanted for a long time, and I planned for, and I overcame many obstacles to get. I went to a very ethical and reputable breeder who I've dealt with in the past. I had a conversation about what I wanted and what my lifestyle was like. I had to sign a contract stating that I would take care of my new dog in a certain healthy, compassionate, and loving way. I had to wait for the puppies to be conceived and then be born. I had to save up the money. There was a lot that went into making that happen. And I finally did. I went and picked him up just this last weekend. And he's beautiful, and he's just what I wanted. But you know what? There's still a lot to do. He's just a puppy, and a little one at that. It's all up to me to teach him manners. Make sure that he gets adequate nutrition and exercise, to make sure my home is a safe environment for him. And there was a lot more expense. Oh my God. I had to buy him a crate and a bed and food and toys and grooming tools, so much expense. But I did it all willingly because I knew that the time that it takes, the energy and money was going to be worth it to me. I love dogs and I haven't had one in such a long time. So this was something that was very, very important to my heart. But then there was something that I didn't expect. I didn't expect the guy in the apartment next door to not like dogs. I mean, who doesn't like dogs, right? But he was terribly upset over my new puppy's playful barking the first day and night home. So I asked myself, what am I going to do about this? I'm not going to give away my puppy. That's non-negotiable. And I'm not moving, at least not until my lease is up in August. But I don't want this guy making my life miserable in the meantime. And I don't want to make his miserable either. Turns out, I had a goal. I successfully achieved that goal. But with that success has also come with its obligations. Just as an American citizen who is right now a part of the majority of a country that is governed by the majority, I have the obligation to use this new world that I helped to create for the mutual benefit of all. So back to my neighbor. I asked myself, what is the best way to handle this? As I almost always do, I go back to our 7 principles. And I didn't have to look far. I mean, our first principle says the inherent, and that is so profound. Guy next door, he doesn't appreciate my puppy. I appreciate my puppy. I adore my puppy, but the guy next door, not so much. Even so, he has inherent worth and dignity. First thing I did was start doing what I could to control my pup's barking. That is not an unreasonable request. And it's certainly something I can do. It is my responsibility as a dog parent to help him grow up to be a good doggy citizen. So I signed my new little friend up for puppy obedience class. And I printed out the receipt, which I carry around in my pocket now, to show the guy next door in case he gets upset again. This will show him that I do care and I am trying. Whenever I get a chance, I'm going to try to talk to him, engage him in conversation. And maybe it isn't so much about not liking dogs as something that dogs are really good at, like barking. I won't know unless I talk to him. None of this will make me care for my dog any less, or in any way negate my love and caring for my puppy. But I'm also committed to recognize the worth and dignity of another human being in the process. Now, although we don't tend to use this language to talk about ourselves very often, perhaps a person in some other country might say that the liberals have come into power in the US. And since I support the regime that is in power, I'm going to want to see that they stay in power. This is natural. So now I guess one way to try to do that is, attempt to take over the Capitol in a violent coup and prevent another election. a strategy that I am not a fan of in any manner, shape, or form. Or we can do it the old-fashioned American way by making people's lives better so that they will want to vote us in again next time. We cannot do that by denying the worth and dignity of those that we do not agree with. Now, the people who participated in that violent takeover of the Capitol, and especially those who planned and instigated it, those folks need to be held accountable under the law. Because, quite simply, because of the inherent racism in our country, too often white people go free for doing sometimes the most disgusting behaviors, while people of color end up dying because they were, I don't know, selling single cigarettes on the street. Or maybe not doing anything at all, just being black. But holding people accountable, believe it or not, is another way of recognizing their inherent worth and dignity. Strangely enough, holding a person responsible for their own actions is a way to show that person that you consider them to be a responsible adult, capable of making their own decisions. On the other hand, we're going to have to find out what is driving the radicalization of Christian nationalism. I have my suspicions, but only by engaging people in dialogue am I ever going to find out for sure. I do not know how this is going to turn out, but I know this. It is a privilege to be a part of the majority in this country, a privilege that is new to me. And I think that it is virtually important that we take this privilege very seriously and use it very wisely, or else in 4 years, we might just lose it again. Our closing hymn is "We'll Build a Land." Please rise in spirit or body and enjoy.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken.
For our benediction, please close your eyes and reach out to each other in your thoughts. Feel the connection between us, the interconnected web joining us as a community, a church family. Our benediction is, each of us ministers to a weary world, by Reverend Darcy Roque. There's too much hardship in this world not to find joy every day. There is too much injustice in this world not to right the balance every day. There is too much pain in this world not to heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. Amen. Shalom, and blessed be.
Thank you, Joan DeArtemis, for sharing your valuable time and insight with all of us at UUCR. It is sincerely appreciated, and we hope you will visit us again. I hope everyone on this live Zoom service will stay with us following the next slide for a brief period of discussion with our speaker. This will be included on the video that is posted.
Thank you, Joan.
There we go.
I'm on my way. Give me a moment to move my computer so I can talk to you all.
Okay.
It is dark in here.
You want more light over there, or maybe this
No.
one?
I'm just,
It's good.
it is light in here because I have a migraine, and I am so thankful that Grace is here to fill in for me. I was stumbling over everything I said at the beginning.
There's a nice ambiance in
I'm
this.
so sorry. I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Usually my migraines go away very quickly in the mornings when I wake up with them, but this one's not.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Where's your puppy, Joan?
Give me a few minutes and he'll join us.
Okay, yes, we'd like to see him.
All right, I want to see the puppy.
Thank you for the service, Joan.
Huh?
And thank you for giving your sermon. And also I share many of your sentiments about how about the events of the recent events, except I can't say that when after the election was confirmed, or after the inauguration, or after any one of these days, did I really feel like I had slept better yet. I didn't feel yet that I didn't feel that sense of relief yet, because I feel like this at best just gives you an opportunity to change things. We're still in the same state that we were in a month ago. This is only possible some form of opportunity to make a change. None of that has happened yet.
Yeah, I know, it's still very, I'm hopeful.
I too am hopeful. I understand. Oh, my video's off. I apologize.
Hannah is incognito. There you are.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi. I was
Hi.
tardy this morning because children.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the service. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes, thank you so much, Joan.
Finley was
The
like
closing,
while I was praying. I don't know if you hear it or not.
the closing hymn reminded me of Free to Be You and Me.
Yeah.
I read that, sorry, I have that book and I read it to my children every day, multiple times a day, sometimes different poems out of it as they need it read.
I think we had about 25 people participating in our service today.
25?
Yeah.
Yay.
It's great.
It's expanding.
How many do we normally have?
Oh, 17, 16, 18, something like that.
Ooh. That's fabulous.
We have
You
some-
must be, I'm looking at Alec. You must be Alec. Are you responsible, the person responsible for putting in the music?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Good job.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And Margaret sitting next to him is also, we hear her voice on many of these pieces also. She has this beautiful soprano voice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I do have a question, Joan, that I have heard raised by a number of people, including somebody today. There's always a concern about this separation of church and state and how much we talk directly about politics. And I know that by reading UUA website and various UUA publications, that they've gotten very direct about what's been going on. But I'm sure that you can address that more clearly than I. Can you talk about that?
Yes, and I'm glad you asked that. I'm very specific. We are not allowed to support a candidate in an election. Absolutely not. And we could lose our nonprofit status if we do. But the election's done. It's all over with. Now I'm talking about things in the news that are affecting us and that are possibly traumatic. I mean, I found January 6th to be a very traumatic situation. And anything that, you know, I'm not supporting a candidate. I'm just talking about these are the facts. You know, we have a former president who is they're going to re-impeach him. That's coming up next week. There's no way you can vote today. There's no way I can influence your vote today about that. That's something going on, a legal matter. But that's fair game for us once the election's over.
I also would like to say that social issues, you know, it's social justice, environmental, I mean, those are all things that we as humans have to adjust and deal with every day, and that's part of religion. Religion is helping you to understand and to cope and to, you know, make decisions, and so in that realm, you know, we as a church or church body can work towards, can voice opinions on, can, you know, again, because that's the society in which we live, and a long tradition going back to, you know, Judaism in terms of prophetic voices. And so you can look at it from that perspective as opposed to a political perspective.
And there's a long history in the traditionally African-American churches of liberation theology, which I just think I love liberation theology. I just love it. I loved it in seminary. When I discovered it, I was just so excited about it.
Can you elaborate on that? I've never heard of that term before.
You've never heard of liberation? Okay. I'm going to give you a little bit of history. Back before the Civil War, when we still had slaves, the owners would not allow their slaves to go to church for a long period of time. And so what would happen is they started holding their own services as slaves in secret. And then after the Emancipation Proclamation, these churches, many people were still not allowed in the white churches. So they would continue this like parallel Christianity that is basically based on, it lifts up a lot about Moses and let my people go. It lifts up Jesus as being a radical liberator. Different message. And it is the traditionally African-American churches are one of the places where African-Americans have gone to organize civil rights movements. That's why the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King came from AME. So he comes right out of that liberation theology. And Rama does too, by the way.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I invite you to listen to AME Preachers Sunday.
I should. Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. Also, liberation theology was a big phenomenon in Central and South America, where liberal, progressive, and Marxist priests and bishops and so forth stood against right-wing regimes.
That's right.
Supported by the United States and by the Vatican often, so they often stood up against their own church as well as against the CIA and Operation Condor, all of those sorts of things. So
oh my God,
it's a long, rich tradition there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that in terms of with Central America and South America, and for them it was more the liberation theology within the Catholic Church. Some of the nuns and the priests, that work in that realm.
And then also like on what Bonnie was talking about, this is just kind of a joke, but I don't know if you guys ever seen George Carlin, but he says, what does it mean when you put your hand on the Bible? Do you put it upward, downwards, backwards, sideways? Like how they say the oath, like, I don't know, I just think it's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if like a piece of paper is magical. But I do think there is like this, it's kind of like de facto, like Judeo-Christian type of, basically like if you try to elect a president and he's openly atheist, right, that's not gonna bode well for, he's not gonna win. He's gonna have a lot of supporters. So
Joe Biden is Catholic, the second Catholic president we've had.
Right. Second Catholic president, Joe Biden. Joe Biden's our second Catholic.
Our second one, only our second one. I'm old enough to remember when Kennedy was running.
Yeah.
And they made a big deal about it. Oh my God, it was like, but he's Catholic. The Pope is going to take over our country.
I remember when Mitt Romney was running and everyone's like, oh, he's going to make us all Mormon. And then now like Mitt Romney's one of the few like from the Republican Party that are actually like, I'm not going to go with what everyone else is doing, which is so strange to me.
And when Barack Obama was originally running, there was this whole thing, he's secretly a Muslim. Well, number one, he could be a Muslim. Who cares? Yeah. Totally within his rights, right? And number two, it's made up.
Well, I have heard one plausible conspiracy theory. The reason Mitt Romney's taxes, he hasn't released his taxes because it will reveal he's not giving his required donation to the Mormon church.
Oh, his tithe?
The 10%.
Yeah.
I think
speaking of that, I don't know how much you guys know of like business stuff that's going on in our area, but there's a large multi-level marketing company headquartered in Corona that was originally started by two LDS members, but they have been removed from the LDS church for not giving a proper tithe. Specifically because they like own a couple of private planes and helicopters, and they only give like the tithe of like someone who makes $100,000 a year to the church,
Oh.
and they're multimillionaires. Yeah, so
I don't make
There's
100,000 a year.
that. They don't though. That's the problem that the
Well,
church has with them. Anyway, that's LuLaRoe. If you're curious on that, there's more info online about anti-MLM stuff. That's a side note.
Well, you know, my introduction, my bachelor's is specifically in religion and society. So it's the ways that religion and all different things, economics, politics, sociology, all of these things intermesh and affect each other. So that's like, you know, I'm like a big geek around that. You know, I will stop
Right
and,
on.
oh, so that's what's happening. Oh, that's so interesting.
one other thing that we can say about the nonprofit status is we can advocate any social justice issue, anything like that. What we can't endorse is candidates or parties. That's
Right.
basically all we can do, and we can't campaign for or against candidates or parties.
Right.
Other than that, we can talk about any subject. We can speak out on.
And we can.
And we can have candidates come to the church and speak as long as we invite all the candidates. You can't select a candidate to come and speak. You
Right.
have to, if you're going to have a talk.
Well, do you remember when Trump pulled that stunt where he went to the Episcopal Church and held up the Bible?
Oh yeah, out in front.
Right. I saw that live and I was horrified.
Oh.
And then I later on found out that the priest there, who's a
Yeah.
woman, was like horrified.
I was going to say, the pastor there was horrified as well.
And I have friends who are Episcopal priests and I could just hear them going, what are you doing? I'm like flipping out in my head.
I think that as you know, we get closer to like 2040, 2050-ish type realm, we'll probably see like most people aren't really gonna care. Like as long as you do your job, no one really is gonna care too much. Like if you're whatever race. But you know that the Bible thing. I'm pretty sympathetic towards Christians. Like, but I don't know. It's just some like for me, like how I can't have a president that's openly and this isn't me saying anti-Christian sentiment. I'm just like if we're gonna have a leader, he should represent all, you know, like all beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You can't openly have a Bible that openly says, oh well, you know, unto God. Then what if I believe in another God? Then what?
Exactly.
So it's kind of contradictory.
That's something else we need to guard against is theocracy.
Yeah.
In Judaism, those aren't contradictory. Someone can believe in their word to God, and that's completely consistent with our beliefs.
Yeah. That thing about the word being holy, that's actually really old. That has to do with Egyptians. The Egyptians held those hieroglyphics that you see. They were held to be holy. That got put into Judeo-Christian. It got put into Judaism, where the Jewish scrolls are holy. They're sacred. You see it with the Quran too. You know, that's where it comes from. It's really, really old.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it going away. I'm just saying that I just think it's contradictory for us to have this old. I mean, it's not going to go away, right? It's been around for like 300 years. Like I don't know how long it's been around, but you know, like to openly say, well, unto what I don't know what the thing says. I forget what. It's just like that little statement. And when you're using the Bible, though, right? And you know, it's like we're all like humanists now, like pagan. Like I don't know. It seems a little. It'll probably always be strongly Christian, probably. Like this be the space. There's a huge demographic of Christians, so they would like get furious if you try to get rid of that tradition. So, not that I'm anti-Christian, but.
So are you talking about? Drew? Are you talking about whenever they swear the president in and he puts his hand on the Bible? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that if we ever do, and I would think that would be great if we did, if we ever have somebody that is Muslim or somebody who is Mormon or something like that, that it's whatever their sacred text is what they would be swearing upon. So, I mean,
that is actually currently the law. If for any public office, and it's never happened for the presidency, of course, but for any public office, you can swear on any book. They ask you what you believe in and what is you know, the thing, what is holy to you, and that's what they swear on. And if nothing is holy to you, then I don't know what you answer with.
I mean, presumably you could swear yourself in using the Constitution.
yeah.
I'll do that one.
The other capital G.
I'll do that one. I won't do a Bible though. I will never do a Bible. But
Oh, I would really freak people out because I would be swearing in on the Greek letters at the base of the statue.
I don't think we'd win much supporters, I would suspect. So in the novelization or what?
I see that my
novelization
puppy
of
is
Star
awake.
Trek.
I'm asking. I hesitate to wake him up because when he gets wound up, he turns into a little crazy man.
I know what you mean.
He's really
Tasmanian
young.
devil.
He's like over 2 months old, so he's still very young. Here he comes.
Oh, oh.
There he is. This is Finland.
What type of dog is it?
He's a Welsh Cardigan Corgi.
Welsh Cardigan?
But he's a fluffy, so he's not eligible to be in any dog shows or anything. But he is AKC.
He looks like he's just so soft.
And no barking.
Huh?
And no barking.
Wait till tonight. 2 o'clock he gets going.
Hey, don't steal.
Still
That's
sleepy.
not nice. That's mommy.
Honestly, like I thought about getting another dog like that, but no, not now. Hell no, not right now. But like in 4 years, because I made the vow to never get a dog ever again. I was like, do I really want another dog again? I began to think about all the work I had to do with it. I was like, at least for me, is the short-term comfort worth the long-term responsibility? Like, I had to walk it, wash it, take it to the vet, get it microchipped, clean up the dog excrements, etc. So I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Drew,
dog.
that's really very good, very responsible. A lot of people
Yeah.
aren't thinking that way, so that's really good that you did.
Good
think
for you.
My parents had dogs when I was born, and then I got my first dog of my very own when I was 5, and I've never not had a dog until right before I came to Massachusetts. My corgi died, the corgi that I got from the same breeder, and well, it's been 2 years since I've had a dog, and he's turning into Mr. Wildman again. So it's been a hard 2 years for me. I feel like I've really been like part of my life is like there's been a big hole in my life.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I was like, well, at least I was wondering because I used to have my old dog Smokey. We used to go running for like 4 miles or whatever. So I had it for since 4th grade. And now that I run 15 miles, I'm like, if I'm gonna get a dog, it needs to be able to run really, 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 really a long time, right? Like
There's such things. There's dogs that can run 15 miles.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
So my plan is I'm going to train him to be a service dog because I've got severe arthritis.
Service dog.
Yeah, I'm going to train him to be my helper dog. So number 1, I'll be able to keep him with me all the time. And number 2, as my arthritis gets worse, he'll be more and better trained and right?
There will be a help.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
That's what we're going to do. Unless he tears my throat out.
When I was growing up, we always had multiple cats and dogs and ducks and all kinds of, you name it. And I've always been like that too. I've always had all kinds of animals. So I wouldn't know what to do with, except for a short period of time when I was, had initially went away to college and was living in dorms. I didn't have any animals. That's the only time in my life I didn't have pets. I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
When I went to seminary and I went down to the, there was a, you know, a meet and greet where you go down and talk to people and see if you want to do it. I was in this meeting and I said, well, what about animals? Am I able to have a dog here? And the woman next to me looked at me with the most compassionate eyes. She said, we wouldn't make you get rid of your dog. And I went, okay, that's it. I'm coming to school here. That was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm going there.
That's funny. Picking a school based off whether you can keep your dog or not. I definitely need to.
That's right.
I need to keep that in the back of my mind when I'm making a major life decision about where to go to school at. So.
But it's, I know that I have always been rather aghast at people who choose their partners based on things like, well, actually what I'm aghast at is people like my brother actually, who had a cat that he was just so invested in and loved this cat beyond anything until he had a girlfriend who didn't like cats. So cat's gone, oh well. And I said, well, how could you, I mean, maybe he and the cat and Heather could learn to get along, you know? Well, I wouldn't do that to her. And she's like, it's like, there's no depth there. I thought you two were inseparable. You know? For me, you don't like my animals, you don't love animals, you're not in my life.
Ooh, okay.
That's the starting place.
When I was single and dating,
Agreed.
somebody home, if they didn't get along with my animals, I'm like, okay, well, this was fun, but
Bye.
you know what?
I remember a guy that I had been dating, and I don't know what happened. I've been dating him for a while and everything's fun, but it was a long distance relationship. He was only in town off and on. And then he came back in town one time and my dog, who was a very bright dog, got in between us and would not, he was determined to be in between us. And I thought, yeah, Skippy is not something here. Something's changed.
No, don't steal.
When Kathy first came over the house, I had a big black Labrador retriever.
Dax, what's in your
So
mouth?
I swear I liked Kathy better than she liked me. So, okay, well, you know what? I think this might work out. It's a good thing too, because you know what? Kathy's got to put up with Finley waking us up at 4 o'clock in the morning and all this stuff. So yeah.
Is she like?
You gonna be kind?
The
Sorry?
funny part is, oh no, I was just gonna comment on what Bonnie said. The funny part is any person that actually holds the belief that the person that you're dating actually views the dog as, well, not as more valuable, but like the fact that you get jealous of a dog shows that you shouldn't have been in that relationship in the first place. If you're getting jealous over a dog just because that person's giving the dog more attention than you, so that just shows that you don't have a life if you're jealous of a dog.
Yep.
I wonder if all dogs are good judges of character. Or is that
I think so.
Sometimes.
I think so.
I think that's probably unlikely because it turns out, I learned relatively recently that it turns out all dogs have a neurological condition that I don't remember the name of, but in humans, it causes them to be hypersocial. And so it may just be true that we have bred dogs to all be, to have this sort of defect where they act hypersocially. And dogs love you because we've bred them to have this slight defect. to always love
I've
everybody.
had dogs that
I
have
don't know about
no
defect.
use for people.
The tail wagging.
Mhm.
Anybody ever met an
You intentionally
antisocial dog?
breed.
Not antisocial, but just some people. I've had dogs that have been
Yeah,
very,
to specific people.
Yeah.
They like notice something about that person they don't like.
they also have senses we don't have. They can smell, because their sense of smell is so so
Acute.
attuned.
Yeah.
They can tell hormonal changes in our sweat. They can tell, like, the guy's looking at me and he's smiling and he's talking and he's acting friendly, but the dog is going to know if he's really angry at me and about to attack me.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever asked about antisocial dogs, I mean, they condition, or I don't know if breed's quite the right word, but I mean, there are dogs that are trained attack dogs, and they're vicious. That whatever that innate piece of them is, it can be enhanced by reinforcing it and conditioning them. So. I mean, that I don't know if you would call that antisocial or not, but certainly there are dogs in which you would not go up as a stranger and expect them to, like you.
Yeah.
See, like when I had like my dog like Smokey, for example, like I think what you mean, Alec, is they have bred tendencies that are bred into them. Yeah, I know what he's saying. He's saying that yeah, of course, like, because wolves were previously undomesticated, and they had hunter tendencies, right? So it's not going to be a natural inclination for them to be pet and all this stuff. They're hunters, right? And with Smokey, for example, right, she had this very strong hunting drive, right? If she saw a rabbit, where I lived at, there were a lot of rabbits, right? So either I ran her like 6 miles, or she'd be digging holes all day, and I just let her out and I'd go let her hunt some rabbits. Like, she just has, if she doesn't hunt, she gets like neurotic as heck. And she's a really stupidly smart and intelligent dog, and she kind of like me. She's always rebellious. Like, she would never do anything. I'll tell her to sit. I'll like sit, and then she won't sit. But then she'll do it at the right time, so she knows she only sits when I don't tell her to sit. So she was a frustrating dog. She was too intelligent, I used to say. Too smart for her own good.
Too smart for her own good. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had like a fence. First we tried the fence. So she was such a brilliant dog. She dug under the fence. Then we put rocks there. Then she somehow moved the rocks, right? Because we didn't want her to keep her on a chain all the time. So we was like, she needs to get off the chain. Then we had a chain for her. Then she got off the chain. I'm like, okay, we give up. She's an escape artist. Anyways.
Yeah, that's the thing about corgis. Corgis are
How kind was she?
extremely intelligent and really good problem solvers. So they keep you on your toes all the time. Corgis are not a dog for everybody.
Yeah.
Is that what the Queen of England, what Queen Elizabeth has? She has corgis, doesn't she?
Yeah, she has had many of them.
Right. That's all she has. I mean, that's her go-to dog.
Once somebody's had a corgi, they either go, oh my God, I can't deal with this ever again, or they completely fall in love with them, and I never want another dog. So,
Right.
How are they difficult?
how or what?
How are they difficult? Corgis.
They're well, they say you don't really train a corgi, you negotiate with them. So you have to, like, because most dogs, you have to establish dominance and then train them through repetition. But not corgis. You can't really dominate them. You have to show them. This is in your best interest to do this. And once they get it, they go, oh, okay. So they're really wonderful at it, but they have to realize that it's their best interest.
That sounds like Eddie from Frasier.
You're right.
That dog was like so talented.
Yeah, if one dog that like Aussie Shepherd with Husky, that is one hell of a combination. That's what mine was, Aussie Shepherd Husky. So she had the
I've heard they're
brains
really like ambitious.
Yeah, Aussie is like, she has like this crazy herding mentality. Like, she'd always circle around me. I was like 13 at the time. I was like, what the hell is she doing? And hell, my brain wasn't even formed all the way yet. So I was like, okay, I was trying to learn how to discipline her. And then like the husky is really, it's really frustrating because she has like so much energy, right? And she's not neurotic, but it's like the dog, like you're saying with the corgi, if you don't have the time to dedicate towards that dog, like, and get it to reach its full potential, then you should just, like, if I was ever to get a dog, it'd probably be low energy, like so low maintenance. I don't want anything high maintenance, but go ahead. So
An older dog who just wants to take naps and steal scraps out of the kitchen.
yeah.
No, he wants him to go. No, because he said he wants him to go run 50 miles.
Oh,
with
true.
him.
Yeah.
A bit of both, huh?
Have to have two
You
dogs
gotta pick.
now.
Two.
Two dogs.
But I think I don't think I always say I have an interesting moral compass, but I don't know if I would get a dog just specifically for running. That would be kind of, I don't believe in the idea of getting a guard dog just for the sake of guarding things. That's a very
So the thing I was referring to earlier is called Williams syndrome, and it's actually a genetic disorder which is very rare in humans, but apparently it may have been. There's an article that I've posted that goes into the history of dog breeding and the dog eugenics involved in that. But it looks like, from what I remember, this is a genetic syndrome which has been bred into all the dog breeds that are commonly used among people. It doesn't exist in wild dogs.
Yeah.
And as far as dogs having a sense of judgment of character, I think what really happens is that the dogs will take on your sense of character, and people will see their dogs start to express the same biases that they have. If they don't like somebody, their dog will not like them either. And people will see their dogs confirming their own biases because the dog emulates their biases.
That makes sense.
That was an episode of King of the Hill. Sorry, I love television. I watch a lot of television.
Which episode? Which episode was it, Hannah?
It's in season 2. It's when Ladybird attacks the guy who's coming.
Oh
to
yeah.
fix the, yeah.
Oh, the part where Khan's dog hunt.
Yeah, his dog is like attacking the guy who's coming to fix the water heater, and then everyone's like, "Oh, it's because you're racist," and it was a black guy, Hank. But it turns out Hank just didn't want anyone touching his water heater because he was really like intense about it, you know.
You're a racist here, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Hank. Have you guys heard of when spouses start resembling each other?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like dogs start resembling their masters as the longer they've been with them.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, maybe this is why I needed a white dog.
I think there's totally some truth to that. The dog knows what you care about, and so the dog cares about that thing because the dog wants to empathize with you. But also that serves, like Joan just said, that serves as a mirror. Now you can suddenly see in the dog what it is, some parts about you.
Right. Cats, on the other hand, are different.
I like really intelligent, good problem solver dogs. And I know a woman who likes she's a scientist. She's also very intelligent. She likes border collies. She also likes Australian cattle dogs, which are way more intense than I want to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I like how you said that, Joan. You're like, I really like really intelligent problem solving dogs. This is what I need in my life. Really intelligent problem solving dogs.
Yes.
Not lazy, anxious dogs, problem solving dogs. This is my demand.
Yes. I'm very specific. That's why I got a dog at a breeder.
My need.
Because I know exactly what I'm getting. I know exactly,
Right.
I know this breeder, I know this breed, I know exactly what I'm getting. I will rescue, and I have rescued many dogs.
Something else.
Many dogs and many cats. I'm a big rescuer, but I have to have this one partner here. I'm as particular about my animal partner as I am with my human partner.
the interesting thing is when I had my dog Smokey, she just mirrors whatever I do, like automatically mirror me, and I'm like, why are you so anxious? Like, she go like that, and she's wagging really crazy, and I'm like, she was just calm a minute ago, what just happened? No, I was 14 at the time. I would what I would try to do, I'd test my hypothesis or whatever. I'd write it like down. So what is the best? Well, I had a theory. I was trying to make the optimal dog. I was like, can I? Because I'd read the work of B.F. Skinner at that time, and I wanted to see if I could condition the dog, and I was somewhat successful because I was able to get it to salivate when I could give it a certain treat, and I was able to get it to shake hands, but I couldn't consistently get it to control its emotions, and that frustrated me because I was just thinking, if I could control the dog's emotions, then my life would be complete.
And I'll bet in puberty, you were thinking, if only I could control my own emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you were 14.
I
There you
heard
go.
an interesting fact about dogs. I heard that when they go outside, to them, all the smells and everything are like us hearing a symphony. Which is like crazy. That's why they're so excited when they go outside. It's like they get hit with the sensory, like explosion.
I think of it like us reading Facebook. What's everybody doing?
That too.
Who's been here?
And then there's like this other thing where they have like this extra sensory type of perception thing. Like I had a theory on that too. Like sometimes she just come to me like, oh, there's a problem. And I'm like, what's the problem? Like, because I know she's trying to communicate. Like, what is she trying to tell me? And she would show me this whole, like, there was this thing here. I'm like, oh, and she's like, did I do a good job? I'm like, so this is the first time I saw her kill a rabbit, right? And I was like, okay. and then we had to deworm her because she was trying to eat it now, and I was like, okay, I didn't know what I was getting into. So.
You remember that awful earthquake in San Francisco a while back, where the Nimitz collapsed?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it had a foreshock. And the reason I know this is because my last partner was a seismologist, and the only reason I know about this is because we've since looked at it. But I had a yellow lab at the time, and it was the middle of the night, and she jumped up in the bed and started shaking and whining. And I was like, what on earth is wrong with you? And I got up and I looked around the house and I couldn't see anything. Well, she did that the same time that there was a rather big foreshock in San Francisco. I was in Southern California. The foreshock was in San Francisco, and it was the same time. So I can see that maybe she heard it in the ground, you know? And then the actual earthquake hit, and I wasn't home at the time. So I don't know if she reacted like that again or not. But, you know, they know things I don't know.
I just wanted to see, Lee, I just noticed your comment in the chat where we were talking about swearing on the Bible or swearing on something you find holy. And he said that John Quincy Adams was sworn in as president of the United States on a book of law rather than a Bible to honor the separation of church and state.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So,
John Quincy Adams, one of the most accomplished intellectually of our presidents, actually.
And he was the only one that did that. Everyone else used the Bible.
As far as I know. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a fun fact.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Oh,
Trivia.
Trivia
yeah,
fact
the
of
only
day.
I have not read extensively about John Quincy Adams, so I do know the only thing I really, if somebody asked me, I'd say, well, the big thing that I know about him is that he was a lawyer that took on the case of was it Amistad, the slave ship. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the only thing I mean, I knew he was also went on to become president and that he was the son of John Adams, but in terms of his adult outside of being a president or whatever, that's kind of the only thing I really knew about him.
Well, when Hannah's sworn in as president, she says that she's going to be sworn
Yeah.
in on the novelization of Star Trek II, Search for Spock. So.
That's her. She holds that book holy.
Honestly,
I do.
I
Definitely do.
I feel like there's a functional utility value in sometimes being Spock during the day. Like I've literally theorized about being Spock. Like, 'cause sometimes you just get like these strong string of emotions for no reason, and I'm thinking like, well, maybe I can make a more accurate decision if I was just Spock for 50% of the day rather than doing what I feel. Because what I feel and what I actually want to do are two different things.
Mm.
How many people on this board are Trekkies?
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
Big fan.
Majority of Trekkies here. Lee, are you a Star Trek fan? I think we've gone.
Not particularly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For me, I still enjoy the original Star Trek, and I felt that it was so courageous for its time, and how they how do I want to put it? They stuck to their guns on certain things that they wanted in terms of diversity, in terms of having females be in leadership positions, and the ethnic makeup, and so anyway, they really hold a special place in my heart. The original Star Trek TV.
They also had the first interracial black-white
kiss.
television.
The first, interracial kiss.
Yep. It was
Yeah, but it was forced on them by an alien.
Uhura and Captain Kirk.
Yeah, but they couldn't do it willingly.
That's right. They were forced. They were like
I remember that. I remember that was like a whole executive.
And they were forced to enjoy it. How dare they?
How I would enjoy it. I would have no problem doing it. So I don't think I had much of an issue with that.
Actually, that being forced to kiss and forced to enjoy it, or at least pretend to enjoy it, actually feeds into everybody's fantasy. So.
Certainly as a kid.
Oh, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help myself. Oh, what was me? Oh, do it again. Oh.
I think I'll be like, I couldn't help myself. I did too long. I'm sorry. Can I get a retake
the aliens,
on it, please?
man. It's not me. It's
it's the aliens.
That one again.
Here, go ahead, Alec. Alec, go ahead.
Well, that's kind of my point. I mean, look at how television has changed. Has anybody watched Star Trek Discovery?
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God.
I've seen parts of it.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
Yes.
They are breaking every taboo possible. They are trying to show as many different situations as possible. It is the Star Trek we need to.
Every type of taboo
on generational trauma.
There's
okay.
One of the first non-binary on broadcast TV is on Discovery.
Yes.
One of the first trans characters is on Discovery. Don't eat that. And I think that's really important. And the fact that finally, like, Michael made it to the captain's chair in that last episode, just like, I was in tears. Yeah.
Alec,
it was just so fantastic.
Here, Alec,
you have a comment you wanted to finish?
Here, Alec, what were you gonna say?
As a kid, I really enjoyed Star Trek. Nowadays, I'm not so sure how much I really like it objectively, given all of the media that is now under the Star Trek label. And I gotta be honest, Discovery is partially to blame for that. The original is cool, but I also think about the episode where Kirk reads the natives the Constitution, and it's a mixed bag at this point. With all the things under the Star Trek label, it's now a mixed bag.
Drew, are you muted on purpose?
Oh yeah.
I can see your lips moving.
Don't eavesdrop on my imaginary conversation. It would hurt my feelings.
I could just make up stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and like
Joan, I'm not sure if I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that I think we actually had this conversation with one of my classmates where we were having this interesting debate, and they were talking about the notions of productivity versus non-productivity. and they told me this. They said, Drew, you need to relax more. And I'm like, well, like, because they're saying it's okay to just exist. I'm like, no, it's not. Not for me, it isn't. And I just realized, I'm like, dang, I can't even enjoy a TV show anymore. Because even that to me seems like a waste of no, not you guys. I'm saying for me personally, it's like it just feels like a time sink. So
I went for years without watching any television or even owning a TV.
yeah,
Yeah.
Enjoyed it, maybe the actors.
you go ahead, Hannah.
Oh, I have to depart, but I just wanted to say, I know I've told some of you before, but my kids are actually named after Star Trek characters. I'm definitely a huge fan. But
What are their names?
yeah, well, my eldest her first name is my name, so her first name's Hannah, but her middle name is Dax, and she goes by Dax, which is actually 9 different characters, but it's all the same person. And then my youngest is B'Elanna from Voyager, who is a Klingon, half Klingon, and she
B'Elanna, that's funny.
she's one of my favorites. And then so this is B'Elanna. And she, I think, embodies a little too much of that Klingon spirit sometimes. She's a little aggressive. So.
I have like the
All right,
desire.
I have to go, but I just wanted to.
All right, I have like the desire to name my kids after like Roman or Greek names, like Augustus Caesar. And he goes to class. Hi, Augustus.
You know, I had an ex who was super into that.
I have some.
Really?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like super
Yeah, he
into
wanted.
Roman.
If we had a girl, he wanted to name her Juliet after Julius.
I literally have the fantasy of calling my son Achilles. I'd be like, I was like, hi, Achilles. Achilles, why did your dad call you Achilles? Oh, because he's really petty when it comes to Greek history.
All right. Bye.
All right, see ya.
Bye, Hannah.
All right, guys, I'm gonna get ready to run off here. If you guys want to keep Tom company because he's been waiting there, or if you guys want to continue this new de facto talk time, then go ahead. I'm gonna keep him company there. I see you guys.
Drew.
Should we go?
Yeah.
What do I do? Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering about this. If we stay on this, then if anybody has gone to chat, then they don't know where we are.
That's right.
Figure out what to do with this. I guess leaving on time and going to chat is probably what we need to do.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go join them so they're not alone.
Yep.
Okay.
Me
Thank
too.
you for coming.
Thank you, Joan, so
Thank
much.
you.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you, Joan.
Bye-bye.
I will give you a call, Joan.
All righty.
Okay.
I'm looking for my leave meeting button. Where is it? There we are.